Here we have an image of a bear. We're going to attempt to redraw this bear, but first we must break it down into our basic shapes. I'm going to start by blocking in the body using the hips, the shoulders, and the heads. After I have my circles in for those, I will begin finding its legs. I start with the back leg, looking for the angles, adding simple lines, and a circle for the joints, like the knee and the elbow. After I've blocked out a rough stick figure-like structure for our bear, I will start adding in our contour lines or rough outline of our bear's body. I start with the back and work my way over to the head. After that, I start fleshing out the legs by adding in the thick meat and muscles and fur that surround it. As I go, I can add some line quality like jagged edges to help suggest the fur. Once we've identified the basic shapes that make up our bear, we may begin redrawing it. I start, much like I did when I observed the bear, with circles to represent the head, the shoulders, and the hips. I move on to the legs, recreating lines that represent those same angles. I use my pencil to help measure distances and angles to better ensure accuracy of my observed drawing. I'd like you to imagine that the image of the bear on the left is one of the images we projected on the screen in class. The red lines I've drawn over it represent what I am visually doing with my eyes as I observe the picture. I am trying to identify basic shapes to create an underlying structure to redraw the bear on my paper. Notice how when I start working on the contour of the body, I'm paying close attention to where it intersects various body parts, like the knee, making sure it lines up with the knee and elbow in the appropriate spot. I'm also paying attention to areas where it changes direction, like above the hip and behind the shoulder blade. As I continue to work on my drawing, filling in the contour lines, I begin looking for any mistakes I may have made, like making the head too small. To help correct it, I simply draw over my previous lines, not worrying about erasing at this point. I also begin looking for small details, adding in suggestions for the toes, or using my line quality like jagged edges to help suggest fur texture. Through our observation of our bear picture, we are able to identify basic shapes and lines to create a stick-like or skeletal-like structure to draw on our paper to recreate the bear's image. After we've created our basic structure out of lines and shapes, it's just a simple matter of adding more lines and shapes to thicken it up to help suggest fur and muscle. Using this same basic technique, we can draw anything. Here I'll observe a giraffe, breaking its body down into an oval-like shape. I then find the hips and shoulders, just as I did with the bear. Its head I break down into a triangular-like shape. I use a simple line to identify the angle of the neck. I then begin looking at the legs and finding the joints where they would bend, using circles to identify the joints, and once again straight lines to identify the angle and direction of the legs. After I have identified my basic shapes, it is then a simple matter of creating the contour or the outline, once again paying close attention to anywhere where it may change direction.